Friday, we had a story of a man that his dad, very concerned, a man who has gotten into an altercation with an elderly gentleman that the DA's office is prosecuting. The man did not want his son to have to go into court because he's suffering from brain cancer and felt this could be dangerous. On the DA's side, and we did talk to Scott McNamara, they're saying, well, if he could show up at Planet Fitness, then he's going to be okay to come into court. We felt that it might be not a bad idea, and by the way, the son actually called in as well. Might not be a bad idea to bring in Peacemakers. And Mark Leuthauser, who is from the PeaceMaker Program, was on the air on Friday. And this is a great service. It offers up really opportunities for people to avoid a judge making a decision. And if you can come to that resolution, that's really, really big. Mark, good morning from Peacemakers. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So I'll ask you right off the bat, were you able to reach out to the gentleman in Rome? Were you guys able to talk?
So this is actually one of the interesting points I wanted to make about mediation. One of the huge advantages is that it's private. So that's whether or not the gentleman reached out to me isn't something I would be able to share.
Got it. I knew you were going to say that. I thought I'd try to slip it in, just because I'm curious. Yeah, I'm definitely curious. All right, well, I totally respect that. And the fact that you guys were able to speak on air is a positive, and we hope that he has reached out because, let's talk about hypotheticals here.
Sure.
You're in a far better position if you could reach an agreement with the person you have a difference with outside a courtroom than inside a courtroom.
I agree, and I think one of the issues that you have in a courtroom is that the only options available to the judge are punitive. Judges are not often in a position to make one person's life better. Their hands are tied by a law that forces them to try and make the other party's life worse. That's really all they've got available to them as far as solutions. That's by design, and that's fine. But if that's not what you're looking for, if you're looking to fix something that's gone wrong, I think most people are better equipped to judge what it is that they need.
What do you see when some of the cases? In some cases, you work with the courtrooms, right?
We do, very closely. Not all of our cases come from the court. Some people just kind of walk in the door with a dispute, and that's fine. But the majority of our cases, probably about three-quarters, are referred to us by one court or another, and that could be small claims court, or that could be a criminal court, or it could be family court.
So, for instance, so-and-so just chopped down a tree, and it was on my property. That'd be a possible situation you might see?
Absolutely. We get stuff like that all the time. Sometimes it's this person put up a fence and they're not supposed to. Sometimes it's this person took down a fence and they're not supposed to. Sometimes it's this person's parking on my property and it's caused damage. It's all that kind of little stuff that you kind of have to put up with it as neighbors, but at some point it reaches a level where it's not tolerable anymore, and the question becomes who you call, and most people think of the court.
I'd love for us to do our own people's court here, because you know how this people's court works? It's unlike no one is signing off on a decision that you guys will make. You really let the people do their own mediation, right?
Well, interestingly enough, in some cases we do both. For cases referred from Utica City Court, for example, first folks go through mediation, and they have an opportunity to build their own solution based on what's important to them.
Yep.
If they can't do that, because not everybody can, there is no silver bullet that's going to solve every problem, then they go and they see an arbitrator. Arbitrator has functionally exactly the same powers that a judge in small claims court would. And so if they can't reach a resolution between the two of them, then we give them the opportunity to present their case and have someone make an enforceable decision for them.
What's interesting about the People's Court is I think the fines end up being paid for by the People's Court, but both sides end up signing an agreement, and even though it's not a real court of law, they sign a contract that states they will abide by whatever the decision the judge comes up with.
That's true, but from what I understand, you're right. All the fees, if somebody's ordered to pay $1,000, then actually it's the folks behind the scenes wearing the headsets that are paying that $1,000, not the parties. Plus, everybody gets an appearance fee.
Right, there's an appearance fee for the fact that you're humiliating yourself on television. That's
sure, and that's not necessarily a judgment that I would make, but if that's what makes people happy, more power to them.
But for you guys, obviously, so I think it's important to note that this can be something that goes through the courts, but it can also be something that people can just contact you and say, hey, we have an issue, and I don't want to fight with this guy or whatever. How would it then work? So I'm party A, and I've got a problem with party B. So I come to you and say, this guy is a jerk. Could we get party B in here and work this thing out? How would it work?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is talk to you, Party A, and get as much background as we possibly can. Make sure that we've got a good understanding of whether or not this is appropriate. Sure. We want to make sure there are no threats of violence or anything like that. We don't want to put anyone in a situation where they'd be subject to harm for using our service.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If we determine that it sounds about right, then we call Party B, explain to him or her exactly how the service works, and make them an offer to come in, and hopefully they would do that.
And Party B could say, not going to do it. I'm not coming
Absolutely.
in. But oftentimes
anybody can back out at any time.
Right.
The key to the service is it's voluntary. Everybody's got to be on board, and that includes any agreement that comes out the other end. Mm-hmm. We don't have you sign the agreement until everyone's happy with it.
You may have already answered this, but I know you just said it was voluntary. Is there a cost associated if Party B, Party A wants a...
Very rarely. Almost all of our services are free. There are one or two advanced services like divorce mediation that we charge for on a sliding scale. In that case, if you're below a certain income level, that's free even. So every service we offer is affordable.
The other thing that I find interesting, there's two points I want to make before we're done. Number one is you look for people out there. People can volunteer for Peacemakers. Am I correct in saying that? That you could be a mediator?
That's correct. We use a mixture of staff and volunteers in our mediator pool and in our arbitrator pool, and also for other programs like our child advocacy program. We've actually got a mediation training coming up in June. Early June, we're going to be recruiting for soon. So keep an eye on the Facebook page if you think this is something you might want to do. We'll be giving you a chance to do it.
All right. And by the way, you mentioned the recruiting. You do have a fundraiser this week, right?
We do. Our big Come to the Table. If memory serves, I think this is the 13th annual Come to the Table fundraiser, which is extraordinary in and of itself.
Which you have all these tables throughout. People decorate the tables, and you might have a table that's filled with a cooler, and the cooler's filled with alcohol, or, the list goes on, all different types of tables. But that's a great fundraiser for you guys. And then finally, I want to talk about divorce and family court. In family court, if you go into that family court and there's two sides, and you go completely through the system, it's going to be a judge that's going to make a decision on who gets to see the kids, who gets custody, what the visitation is like. You can negotiate, but ultimately it's the judge's decision. You can get a lot more done if you're sitting at the table and you're in a mediating situation using a program like Peacemakers.
Correct. You can custom build your own agreement. You have the kind of time in mediation that you simply don't have in court. There are something like 5,000 new custody filings in a night of court every year, and the judges have got to get through those cases, and that means they only have X amount of time that they can give you. They only have so many minutes. They have a duty to get through every case that files. We have the luxury of being able to give you hours or even days to try and figure out what agreement works for you. And so we'll keep working with a couple until they have exactly what they need.
Best advice I could ever give, I've been through a PeaceMaker program and I've been through family court. Best advice I could ever give is try to make the decision so the judge doesn't have to. That
Absolutely.
Is really, really big. So, okay, how do people reach out to you, Mark, if they have an interest in volunteering, maybe an interest in the fundraiser, or maybe an interest in utilizing your services?
So the first place I usually direct people to go is the website. Not only is it a great place to get information at your own pace, even if it's not during business hours, but you can actually fill out a contact form to ask us to call you, get a hold of you, so that we can make sure that we get you into whatever service you need. There's a form there. You can fill out an application to become a volunteer if you want to be a mediator. And as far as the fundraiser goes, you can purchase tickets right through our website. They have to be bought in advance, and you got to move quick because the fundraiser is actually April 1st, this Saturday. Mm-hmm. And as a thanks for having me on, Bill, the first 20 people that punch in Keeler into the coupon code get $10 off their ticket.
Oh,
so they
very
get
nice.
$4.50 instead of $60.
All right. Well, that's really cool. And again, it is an awesome event, and the tables are just really creative. People put a lot into these tables, so check it out. All right, Mark, thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, folks.
All right, we'll break. Come right back here. I would love to be like the Judge Wapner situation. We could do it here, where we'd have the two parties. They'd have to sign an agreement.
Let's do it.
We'd live out the whole proceeding right here on air. I don't like
your attitude. You come in here with your pants like that, and you're wearing leggings.
We would, of course, pay.
You can't come in our studio with leggings.
We would pay any fine, but we probably would trade it out for maybe gift certificates or something. So that would be
or Habaika could pay for it.
That's right. Or maybe it'd be pay for it with Habaika's money. I like it.